New York, big city of dreams. New York, big city of dreams. NYC.
Yep. What's going on? This is Jay Ellis from the Knick Of Time Show here giving you that Knicks talk just in the nick of time. And the Knicks lose to the Golden State Warriors 101 to 111. We just didn't have it today, guys. We just didn't have it today, and it happens like that today sometimes. RJ Barrett, though, gives you 18 points, 5 assists, and 4 rebounds. Julius Randle gives you 20.7 rebounds. Jericho Sims gives you a double-double, 10 points, 10 rebounds, and 3 blocks. But the Knicks could not overcome the cutting and shooting of the Warriors and fall 111 to 101, and we're going to talk about it all. All right? But before we talk about it, you already know what it is. I'm going to introduce my guys. First and foremost, you already know what it is. It's the man, the myth, the legend, guy with the stats and the facts.
Ryan G's in the building. Knicks were just outplayed tonight by a better team. That's all I gotta say.
Yep. And of course, you already know who this is. The Latin assassin, Mr. ESPN. He's supposed to be toasting. You already know it's my man. What's going on, Lee?
What's up, guys? I think there was a slow pause on the fire Tibbs train. It's back in full effect tonight.
It's back in full effect. Back in full effect tonight, according to Lee. Let's talk about it. I don't even know if this is like a Tibbs thing, even though I still have my gripes with Tibbs today because of how much he's playing RJ Barrett. But I don't even feel like this is a Tibbs thing to me. To me, this was like the Knicks just fell flat. They didn't have it. When you have Obi Toppin missing dunks 2 in a row, you're like, all right, what's happening? It was a ball of confusion. They just didn't seem energized. It kind of looks like this road trip is starting to wear on them a little bit. And you hoping that wouldn't happen because we do have the Phoenix Suns up next on Sunday. So you was hoping we can actually catch a struggling Warriors team slipping, but that's just not what happened today. I don't know. What do you think, Ryan?
Yeah, I agree. I don't think this game you can put it on Tibbs per se. I think it was just the Warriors just outplayed the Knicks tonight. Like the ball movement was A1 from the Warriors, especially in the first half. I felt like the Knicks, especially early in the game, and I think this is what caused them to get down so quickly, was they try to play with the Warriors. Like they try to play the Warriors game. They try to play fast, knowing that's the Warriors style of play. And I would have preferred them to try to ease back a bit on the pace and try to slow the game down and give the Warriors less possessions. But that wasn't the case. And then I think it was just compounded by the fact that they just weren't hitting shots. And that caused the Warriors to get on the break, pass the ball around. Knicks weren't able to rotate on defense a whole lot of times. Warriors got a bunch of open threes. They hit them. And that's pretty much it. Like the Warriors just outplayed the Knicks tonight. And you can look down the list of the Knicks players tonight. Like you look down the list, it's hard to pick out a Knick that really played extremely well tonight. So I think tonight was just the Warriors outplaying the Knicks pretty much.
I would say Julius Randle played really well tonight. Of the three of us, I'm probably the most critical of him. I think that he had the best effort, the best focus, and he seemed to be able to overcome the tired legs of this recent road trip to put together a really good performance, I thought, on the boards and in the paint, and overall had a pretty solid attitude of sharing the ball and trying to find open teammates for the most part tonight. Him and Sims were the two bright spots of the game. I don't think there's ever a single entity that you can put the sole blame on why a team loses. Usually if you lose, there's multiple reasons why. I think Tibbs is one of them, because for someone who is supposedly in the lab so often and so thoroughly, he has not been able to adjust this team's defense to pick up on the perimeter and actually guard the 3-point line. He continues to push the guys into the drop coverage and protect the paint when he's playing teams that are scorching from three, including Denver, including Utah, including Golden State, teams that constantly beat their opponents on a 3-point line. And he has not gotten the guys to either buy into the system or create a system that guys are able to buy into based on their skill set and their abilities. So this is definitely a partial blame on Tibbs for doing the same thing, and to the point to where, you do it so much, it's a point of insanity. There needs to be some defensive schematics changed to really shift the point of emphasis on defense to be the perimeter and not worry so much about having the rim protection down there, because Draymond Green's not going to post you up and back you in and drop 30.
I don't know, for me, well, for one, when it comes to pace, the Knicks, the Knicks pace has increased. We're top 10. We've been top 10 in pace this season. I think at one point we were even like top 6, I believe. So like the Knicks game right now is pace. The Warriors just do it better. I mean, they're one of the originators of pace for me. I would say it's not Tibbs really, because of the front. Usually it's like, okay, one unit has it more than the other. He plays one unit more than he's supposed to. This time both units pretty much stink, with the exception of maybe Sims, probably the best player of the night for me, and then Randall. So I mean, and then also, you know what? And then it sucked that we also lost Cam today, man. Cam was making his presence known as that guy where Tibbs started to trust him to put him on the best offensive player, put him on Steph Curry. And Curry struggled with Cam's length. And Cam, off ball, Cam didn't play defense well. He lost I think JaMychal Green on a cut. He left Curry open for 3. But he's been able to chase Curry around a bunch of screens. He challenged him He challenged him a lot. He still did a lot of well. He still was able to get into passing lane. So it sucks to see Cam go down with a groin injury, especially because you already know people who was here at the Frank Ntilikina era, groin injuries tend to linger. So it sucks. It really sucks. It sucks for me to see that happen, especially for me. I personally, I still wanted to see a Cam Grimes lineup with extensive minutes, because I truly believe we could have went through that in certain stretches to really stifle some teams. But it seems like, man, we just gonna have a problem where we're just gonna have wings who are always gonna be freaking injured. I don't know. It's frustrating right now, man. It's one thing to lose, but it's another thing to lose a player to a groin injury right now. That's the thing that's most disheartening for me today.
Yeah, but the thing is, Cam, we lost Cam to a groin injury, which, groin injuries are very tricky. Sometimes you might think a groin is healed, and then when you start playing again, you're like, nope, that groin is still bothering. Yeah, and you have to sit out a bit longer. But again, this is opportunity now for Grimes to step up, because, Grimes is going to possibly be the player that's going to replace Quickley in the starting lineup, and maybe Fournier might get a second chance, because unless Tibbs is going to cut his rotation down to 8. So, it's just an opportunity for other players to step up and take advantage of their opportunities. But yeah, I do want to touch on one thing though. Like, I know Tibbs has been the target, of a lot of Knicks fans based on the play of the team this season. But I think tonight, like, even if Knicks defense was top notch, the way the Warriors were playing tonight with the ball movement and the fact that the Knicks were actually playing to the Warriors' strengths, they were actually playing at the Warriors' pace. I think even if the Knicks played better defense tonight, I don't think they would have been able to stop the Warriors, because the way the game was played, they were playing fast. And when you're playing fast and the way the Warriors move the ball, it's hard to keep your rotations tight. Like, that's not a situation where you can keep your rotations tight. Like, if the Knicks slow the game down and probably force the Warriors to play a bit of a slower game, then yeah, when they're in the half court, yeah, you're able to keep your rotations tighter, even if the Warriors move the ball around. But when you're playing fast like that, it's really hard to keep your rotations tight. So that's why tonight I'm not blaming this on Thibs, because I feel like even if the Knicks were playing up to par, it would have been hard for them to keep up with the Warriors and their ball movement and the pace that the Warriors are playing at.
Yeah, I feel like the second half in general, I feel like
90 seconds.
I feel like the Knicks did a pretty okay job playing defense. I like the insertion of Sims. I feel like Sims, especially with the small ball lineups, he kind of gives you the best of both worlds almost on a defensive end, at least, where he can punch people with the rebounds, he can switch on to 1-through-5s, and he can really and he can just recover. He can cover for a lot of mistakes. So I feel like the second half we did as best as we could.
60 seconds.
I'm sorry. We did as best as we could. For me, it was about making shots. We just did not make shots. You cannot beat an NBA team and shoot. What did we shoot today? 26% from three. Like 9 for 34 from three is crazy. Missing the 10 3-pointers in the beginning is crazy. Jalen Brunson going 2 for 13. That's not going to happen most of the times. And it's not like Jalen Brunson was going against guys who are lanky, who can't take advantage of. He was missing shots he usually makes in his sleep. So when things like that happen, you're like, you know what? It's just not going to happen. Somebody else has to step up, whether it be Randall, whether it be RJ, or somebody. And today definitely wasn't RJ. Once again, Randall showed some glimpses, but he didn't have it. And we need shooting, man. We need shooting. We need shooting badly. Nobody can shoot the ball, and it's painfully obvious that if we can't shoot the ball, we have a ceiling for this team. So we need to find a way to remedy that.
Yeah, I'm going to disagree with both you guys. I don't think defense is the only reason why we lost this game, but I think it's definitely a primary one. The Golden State didn't have their usual pace, especially at home, where they've had a much better record than they have on the road. We were in single digits at the 6-minute mark. There was an opportunity for us to win this game. Our lack of shooting was definitely a contributing factor why we lost. But if we would have pounded into the paint and gotten more touches for Sims and Randall, Draymond Green couldn't stop Sims. His offensive rebounding, his ability to score in the paint with his athleticism, it was hard to stop. I think if we would have shifted gears a little bit more and stopped settling for 3-point shots and also guard their threes, there were so many times where Brunson and RJ helped out in the paint and left their Klay Thompson wide open on the three. That's the reason we lost that single-digit deficit, was because we allowed Klay Thompson, Curry to just be wide open, with not even a hand to face. And those are the type of defensive lapses I'm talking about, where it's a combination of teaching and Thibs grilling those guys to making sure that those rotations are crisper than they were tonight, and also the guys buying in. I think his voice is losing a little bit in the locker room, and guys aren't bought in the same rate that they were 2 years ago, and even last year to a degree, we didn't have as much athleticism and defensive prowess as we do this year. So I definitely factor in defense, especially in the last 5 minutes, for one of the reasons why we lost this game.
Yeah, but it's hard to argue that when the Knicks played good defense the last 2 games, though.
Yeah, they played the defense against 2 teams that were one that was missing their best player and didn't shoot very well from the field. And this team was completely healthy, had their entire team intact, and is one of the best 3-point shooting teams in the NBA, fresh off a championship.
Well,
if this was the Charlotte Hornets, yeah, I would give it to you. But it's the Golden State Warriors, and I think we were only single digits within 5 minutes. We had a shot to win this game, and they blew it on defense.
Well, I'll say this: Tibbs did not lose this team. Tibbs lost Knicks Twitter fan base. That's who Tibbs lost. Tibbs did not lose the team. RJ's out here defending him, and you don't see the performance that we saw defensively with Julius Randle diving on the floor and Jalen Brunson saying, "I'm gonna dunk it." If Tibbs lost the team, Tibbs absolutely did not lose the team. You want to see what the losing teams look like? Go to the Knicks Bucks game when Fizdale's was coaching. That's what a lost team looks like. So Tibbs absolutely did not lose the team. The team
Say he lost a team, but I think he's lost the ear a little bit in buying into his defensive schemes because they're seeing that his defensive schemes aren't working. And I think that some guys are frustrated with their role and how much they're playing. And you can see that by how guys, when they start missing shots, they start lapsing a little bit on defense as well. We've seen that with Obi Toppin, Isaiah Hartenstein, Emmanuel Quickley, and even a little bit of Cam Reddish and RJ Barrett. So it's definitely, there's an effect. I mean, that's what losing is going to do to you. And even though their record isn't as bad as it could be, the record doesn't show how bad this team has been in certain stretches.
I would say this. I would say right now they're a 500 team, and Jalen Brunson, he tries, but I feel like him and Julius Randle, they still don't know. We have pieces now who aren't good as pieces last year on the defensive end. Jalen Brunson is not a good. It seems like he's not that good of a team defender when I'm looking at Jalen Brunson. To me, it seems like Jalen Brunson gets confused on where to scramble on defense. And the same thing goes for Julius Randle. And Cam Reddish has remedied a lot of that. He's caused a lot of turnovers with his length. But even Cam Reddish sometimes doesn't know where to rotate. But Cam just kind of makes up for it with his effort. So I don't feel like, it's like they're down on him. I don't think that's it at all. I just don't feel like that's it. They're like, okay, well, they lost the team defensively. This team is still kind of fighting on that end in that regard. So we just need to get the shooting thing. We need to get the shooting thing better. I do believe that we still need to, even though I don't think it showed in this game in particularly, I do feel like in the grand scheme of things, we might have to revisit how we guard threes in general, just like Budenholzer, who adjusted his 3-point defense because of the Bucks lost in the finals to Robert Williams raining threes and it was all open. I think we still need to adjust it in general, because we still have all these no names getting career high from threes on us. So maybe it is adjusting the scheme sometimes where we don't have 4 guys in the paint, but or staying home on more shooters. Maybe that needs to happen. I just don't think today was like the reason. I don't feel like today was that day to blame the scheme on it. That's all I have to say.
Yeah, and just to add to what JL has said, like I have we've seen when teams give up on coaches. I feel like if the Knicks really lost an ear to what Thibs have to say, I don't think the Knicks would have fought back so many times in this game. Like there were times when the Knicks fought back, just that the Warriors hit clutch shots that brought the league back up. The Knicks kept fighting in this game despite the fact that they were down so early. I feel like if Thibs lost the team's ear after how the Warriors came out early in this game, the Knicks would have just collapsed. But they didn't collapse. They kept fighting. So, I mean, yeah, you could blame it on Thibs' schemes or his defense or whatever the case may be, but I don't think he lost the ear to players. I think the players are still fighting for him.
I didn't say that he lost a team, but I think they're not as bought in as they were in years past. I do think there's frustrations on this team. I think there's frustrations with guys' names coming up in trade rumors. I mean, there's frustrations on guys' minute restrictions, on being subbed out when they're playing real well. I think those are definitely factors that are playing into the overall effort of this team individually and collectively.
I would say for me, it's interesting this season, Knicks fans on Twitter at least wanted Tibbs to do certain things. And we've gotten probably 8 out of the 10 things we wanted to see. We wanted to see Cam Reddish start. We wanted to see a mix of Hartenstein. Now, granted, a lot of things happen because of injuries. So you take it with a grain of salt. But to me, the biggest issue for me right now is still the accountability factor. My biggest issue for the last 2 games is where the hell is Grimes when Barrett is playing sick and clanking 19 threes in a row and lagging on defensive end, especially in that Denver game. I do feel like we could have played Grimes, and I get that he's trying to shorten the rotation to 9 people, but like you have to kind of read the situation. This is why you have depth. You have depth to take over when other people are down or not giving their best, and he hasn't utilized that. You know what I mean? Enough for me. So that, but it is what it is. Listen, we still a 500 team. This is pretty much where I thought we was gonna be anyway. So it just is what it is. I just need the shooting to turn around, and unfortunately, I'm not sure if that's gonna happen in the foreseeable future. But when actually, you know what? Maybe it will be, because unfortunately, Cam Reddish is down, and now we have Grimes. Grimes, he's always shot 38% from the field from college to his first year in the league. So I expect that to continue once he starts to play some more games with the Knicks. And I'm pretty sure, I saw Jason said it, I'm pretty sure he's going to be playing with the starting lineup. I'm pretty sure that's just going to happen next game. All right, yo, salute to the chat. Thank you guys for being here. Shout out to Jason and shout out to Craig. Shout out to Leah Scobidos in the chat. He's talking to everybody. All right. Shout out to whoever, Joshua Rivera. What's going on, Joshua? I haven't seen you in a minute. Shout out to my guy, Nuggy Fresh in the Bigger Lily, Gregory Lee, and everybody else who's rocking with the KOT show. All right. But I also want to touch on something else too, the RJ Barrett thing. Because you know what? I've been shooting RJ Barrett a lot of bail because he's sick. And I also do blame Tibbs for pushing him a little bit too hard, even though he wants to play. Sometimes it's the coach's job to say no. You know what I mean? With RJ Barrett going 19 for 3. With RJ Barrett still making silly decisions on the drive, even though he had a little bit better game today. Does any of this start to bother you guys? About the long-term future of this team with the way RJ Barrett's playing? Because it seems like a bug is going throughout this team, and you start to wonder. You just start to wonder. You're like, you're right, cool. He's missing shots. Cool. He's not playing well. Cool. It's because he's sick. But if he didn't traditionally have these slow starts, I would just, say he's sick and that's it. But now I don't know, man. I'm almost at that point where I'm getting very concerned, but I don't know. What do you guys feel? Is it just me?
No, I agree 100%. I think the high expectations we place on him is where he was drafted in the lottery at 3rd in 2019. That has a lot to do, for me personally, the lens in which I view him is he's unfortunately he was drafted behind John Morant and Zion Williamson, 2 superstars. So my mind is always trying to make sense of that draft placement at number 3, while watching guys that were drafted after him play a lot better than he has up to this point. Most notably Tyler Hero, who's a player who I absolutely hate to watch, but have to admit that he's been more consistent than RJ thus far. I think there's just a lot of limitations. There's limitations athletically. There's limitations in his ability. There's limitations in his speed. There's a lot of things that physical gifts that he doesn't have. While he does have a high IQ and he seems to have, a very positive outlet to where he doesn't let one game affect the next, there's a lot of things that are going to keep him back from ever being a consistent 23, 25 point per game scorer with really efficient splits. I think what we're seeing right now might be the ceiling of what he is. I think he can get a little bit better in his 3-point efficiency, but the field goal percentage, finishing around the rim, the game-to-game effort on defense, it's been a struggle. And we're four seasons in now, and he's been starting every season off the same way. I think me and Ryan were talking about this. I think he's more of a 3rd option than the 2nd option I prayed for him to be. And there's no way in hell he's ever going to be a 1st. So we just have to, as Knicks fans, settle for him being a 3rd option and try to build a team around him with that in mind.
Yeah. Look, RJ, he's definitely had a rough this season. The shooting hasn't been there. He has been lackluster on defense. He's definitely struggled, and it is a concern, especially with him getting a new extension. finishing at the rim has always been a problem for him. Like, like I said the other day on the podcast, since he's been in the NBA, finishing at the rim has not been a strong point for him. And if you ever want a player to be efficient, he has to be able to knock in those easy shots. And if he can't even finish at the rim on a consistent basis, I don't know if he'll ever be that efficient player that we want him to be. RJ's still a very good player. He still has a pretty good skill set. And he can still be a contributor to a very good team. I'm not really trying to down RJ Barrett or nothing like that. I still think that he'll come around this season and he'll play better towards, once he gets some games in, because that's been his norm, it seems like, once, it hits like the middle of the season or so, or going towards the middle of the season, that's when he starts to pick it up. But for the future, I think it's pretty clear that, us banking on RJ being a first option, that can't be it. And like I've always said in the past, like, there's not really anybody on the Knicks that you can look at and be like, oh, he's a must keep. Like pretty much everybody is open to get moved, because the Knicks don't really have that one special player where it's like, okay, this guy's special, let's keep him. So
Totally agree.
It is a concern for me about RJ, but at the same time, I'm not giving up on him, because it's his fourth season. He's still a young player and he still has room to improve. But it is concerning, what I am seeing so far from him, since the beginning of the season.
Yeah, when I'm looking at Julius Randle going, I'm starting to get more comfortable with Julius Randle having the ball in his hand than RJ Barrett. I'm just like, whoa, okay, what's happening right now? You know what I mean? But that's what's starting to happen. That's what's starting to happen. And it's depending on the situation. You know what I mean? But I'm still hitting the pause button on that. I want to see how he acts when he's a little bit more healthy. But man, this is looking rough. It's looking rough. Ooh, looking really rough. All right. Let's get to some news though. Let's get to some news. This game was a wash. It is what it is. We played the Warriors team. We're lethargic. We were on the road. It feels like we're ready to go home. So let's get to some news. Listen. All right. Here we go. So, news from Ian Begley, news from Shams, but I'm gonna read something from Ian Begley. Ian Begley has reported that some teams have had cursory trade conversations with members of the Knicks organizations involving Derrick Rose. All right. Cursory trade conversations. Cursory. I had to look this up because I was like, these SAT words. All right, salute to you to go, Ian, with the SAT words. Hold on, Ryan G. Ryan G is the educated one in the building. Cursory means it was kind of like fly by night. Am I right, Ryan? Because you the one that the education here, right? Kind of fly by night. Didn't really get into detail. It's kind of just like
it's not. It's not serious talks. It's just kind of like touching base, pretty much like preliminary talks. I guess you can say that.
preliminary. But thank you, Ian Begley, for causing me to use the Google Dictionary. All right. But also some teams, Begley's also reported that the Knicks have gotten calls on Emmanuel Quickley last week. But it's funny because the Shams angle was interesting, because the Shams angle is that the Knicks have been open to talks because they're looking to lessen the glut at guard, which is interesting. So when you hear that, lessen the glut at guard, you're like, okay, what guards aren't playing? You know what I mean? So who's on the bench? We got Quentin Grimes, who's the suspect number one, and probably the most likely that he's talking about because of all the trade rumors talking about he's untouchable, which I still think is kind of fugazi. But I do feel like the Knicks do hold him in high regard. And then we have Evan Fournier, which I can't imagine that being happening because the Knicks have been trying to trade him all last season, off season, and Miles McBride. So to me, and everybody else is probably looking, okay, they're trying to move these guys to give Grimes more playing time. But how do you feel about the Knicks even accepting calls on IQ or Derrick Rose to get Grimes playing time?
I think going into the season, when you look at the roster, and Knicks basically have 3-point guards. You know, you have Derrick Rose, Brunson, IQ. I think going into the season, like we were hoping that Thibs would try to incorporate all three into the lineup, but I think realistically speaking, like, you know, eventually somebody's gonna have to go, because to have 3-point guards and try to split time between those 3-point guards, it's going to be pretty rough. And now Thibs has shown in his rotation now to 9 players, which makes it even worse now, because now you have a young guy in Grimes sitting on a bench that has potential, and Thibs is not playing him, but you have these 3-point guards that you're trying to play. And I think the way the Knicks are thinking about it, like, I think the Knicks are still trying to think long term. I think the Knicks know that, okay, we're not gonna be able to keep all these players, so we have to start letting some guys go and see if we can get some draft capital in return, so that we can you know, get more picks in and then increase our chance to land that big name player in the future. And I think that's how the Knicks are thinking about it. But now you have to look at it now, because, okay, I think ideally most Knicks fans would want Brunson starting, IQ backup, and if they have to move a guard, probably would move Rose. I think that's how most Knicks fans would be comfortable. But I also get why the Knicks are accepting calls for Emmanuel Quickley, because you have to think about it in this way. If Emmanuel Quickley is gone, does that really hurt the Knicks' chances of landing a big name player? Not really, because the Knicks have enough young players on their squad to where they can still make a move for a big player in the future. So if you can trade one of your young guys and get a good first-round pick in return, that strengthens your draft capital. You open up that spot so that you can have one of your other young guys play and get playing time under Thibs. So it's one of those situations where it's like you have to try to think of the long game. You know what I mean? So that I try to take my emotions out of it, because I do like Quickley as a player. I do like Quickley, but I'm trying to think long term about it. I'm like, if they would have moved Quickley for a good first-round pick, that wouldn't necessarily be a bad thing in my eyes, because at the end of the day, the Knicks are not going to be able to keep all their young players. Somebody has to eventually go. That's a fact. And I think if the pick they get for IQ, if that trade was to happen, and they use that same pick stacked on some picks that they already have to bring in a big name player, I think that would lessen the blow of Knicks fans missing IQ if he's gone. So I think that's where the Knicks are coming from in trying to, you know, move either Rose or IQ. I think that's how they're thinking about it.
I agree with just about everything you said, Ryan. I think we as Knicks fans can overrate our players and our roster to a certain degree, maybe even more than other fan bases. I'm totally on board with trading Rose or IQ for the right price. Jay Ellis and I were earlier. I'm not interested in flipping IQ for a lottery protected first round pick. I'm not interested in trading IQ for a player, a comparable player of his contract, age, or skill set. I'm very interested in trading IQ in a bigger package for a player that we can actually be our number one option, can elevate the play of the rest of the team and get us past this hump of being a middling purgatory based team, which we are and will be for the foreseeable future until Leon Rose makes a big move. And a lot of that's based upon the indecision of the front office to make a full commitment to either being a rebuilding team or a team on the way toward contention. We don't have the pieces to contend. So in my opinion, we should be tearing us down, getting rid of these guys that are keeping us in this 500 space and just really tanking for a solid talent until we get to the place that we actually have the cap room, the assets, and number one option to move forward and really challenge the rest of the NBA. But Rose, I would get rid of for a late first rounder, just to free up minutes from McBride. But IQ, I'm definitely willing to trade like every player on this roster at the right price.
Yeah, I'm with Lee on that one. Like, I wouldn't trade IQ straight up for a pick unless Because I do feel like, listen, we have a lot of first round picks. I know we have the OKC picks. We have our own first round picks, and then we have players. Usually, I feel like when it comes to stars, it's a combination. They want a combination of picks and players. And I see Jason saying, "Well, Utah didn't want IQ. Utah is Danny Ainge was trying to fleece us. So like, I don't think Danny Ainge is like a good gauge of what's acceptable and what's not on the trade, especially when everybody can say that, you know, if he was looking for draft capital, he accepted less draft capital from the Cavs, which was a downgrade in my opinion. But
Agreed.
so it's like I don't think that's a good gauge of IQ's value. If IQ and here's the thing. Here's what Ian said. We didn't call teams about IQ. Teams are calling us. That's different. We're not shopping IQ. Teams are calling us and they're going, you know what? Let me see what they're saying. That's different. That lets you know that there is value if teams are poking their head around to see what the cost is going to be. So like for me, and we talked about this behind the scenes, and Ian Begley said this. Ian Begley said the Knicks are looking for something like around a mid-first rounder, but I also was peeking around, and he also said that it is not clear on whether it's just a mid-first rounder or a mid-first rounder plus. Now, if it's a mid-first rounder plus something else, then all right, cool, I can see that. But for me, only way I'm doing IQ for a mid-first rounder straight up, if the team goes, hey, to get this big name player, we don't want IQ, we want a first round pick. Yeah. Then we call up a team, get the pick, get a 3-2 trade going, and things go like that. Now for me, here's why I already know that IQ has been a solid defender for us. He has not shot well for us. That's been the biggest issue. But I guess the thing that I worry about is running the bench offense. Like the bench offense, who do we have running the bench offense once IQ is off the floor? We have Derrick Rose, who's been getting 6 minutes a game. He's looked a lot better today. But he's on his way out, seemingly. We have Quentin Grimes, who they experimented with playing the point guard position early in summer league. But to me, he's gotten better passing in summer league, but I still feel like the passing that we need from a guy in that second unit isn't there with him. So then you're looking at Miles McBride, and I love Miles McBride. I love what he does with the G League. I think he's a solid passer, but I do feel like it's going to be a struggle for him to kind of create mismatches, being a lead guard, blowing by anybody. I don't think I've seen Miles McBride blow by anybody in 2 seasons. So I do have my concerns with IQ leaving, which is why I don't want to trade him for a first rounder straight up. I want to see if there's a draft person in mind where it's like a draft night trade or something, because we're gonna draft this guy, he's gonna be IQ's replacement or whatever. I can see that. If he's gonna be a bigger package, I can see that. But just trade deadline, a first rounder and move on. I'm not with that. That doesn't make sense to me. All right. I don't know if anybody else has anything to add to that, or we can move on, or we want to take calls and have callers kind of chime into this IQ conversation. And if you want to chime in, you already know what the number is. The number is flashing at the bottom of the screen. 319, was it 527-6241? If you want to call in and talk. All right. Any of you guys have anything to say about what I just said?
No, I agree with you, actually, Jay Ellis. I'm on board with what you said.
Yeah, I mean, I really don't have nothing else to say. I pretty much stated my opinion, and I'm cool with your opinion. So, yeah, I'm straight.
Got you. All right. So we're on. Like, Everybody, look, we're all on board with everybody's movable from the right price. Nobody's untouchable. But the right price is the right price is key. All right, I know I already knew Jason was gonna call in because we was kind of talking on Twitter. Jason, let us know what you want to talk about, sir.
Okay, it took a while to stay unmuted. I wasn't sure. Yeah, I was just gonna say first off about the night game. I think they were kind of tired. Like I know they had a back to back and that's a tough back to back, and I don't know. They look drained out there, and supposedly they're all sick too. So I wouldn't take too much out of this game. Like it sucks, and it sucks the way RJ played. But I'm not gonna like go crazy and say like, oh, this means the team is terrible. I think they're kind of tired. That's what it looked like to me, at least, especially in the beginning.
Yeah. It looks like
Now,
RJ's more tired the last game, to be honest with you. But I'm sorry. Go ahead. Continue.
Yeah. About RJ, what's scary is that I thought about like everything you could say about Randall last year, you kind of could say about RJ this year.
Listen,
very scary.
Very scary.
Very scary.
Very scary that I'm like, yo, RJ, why aren't you closing out on why are you standing there? But I'm struggling thinking, you know, he's sick, so he's not doing that. But then he was showing glimpses of that earlier this year too. So before when he wasn't sick. So I don't know. But yeah, continue, Jason.
Yeah, on to the IQ stuff. What I want to say is, Knicks fans and you guys included, at least you and me, like you guys overvalue. Like nobody's giving up a lottery first for Emmanuel Quickley.
Nobody said he was giving up a lottery pick for Emmanuel Quickley. Nobody said that. We said
we project what like the top outcome, and we think right away like, oh, he's gonna be this and he's gonna be great, and it's like what, like Emmanuel Quickley, like if he's hitting his full ceiling, like I don't like he's already in year 3, and he's shown like this year has not been good for him. I know defensively he's been good, but offensively he's been a train wreck. Like he's been a train wreck, and if you're gonna tell me we have to keep him because he plays good defense, so does Grimes, so does McGrath. Like, though that's not a good enough reason to be like he's untradeable because he plays good defense. So all I'm saying is I get where the front office is coming from because I think they want to move Emmanuel quickly so that way they can put Grimes into the rotation, and I think they're going to keep it a 9-man rotation. And the last thing I'll say is this. We are a middling team. We're stuck in no man's land, as people say, right? When you're in a team in no man's land, you cannot get attached to players that are at best going to be role players. So all I'm saying is I get why the Knicks are out there, and if they get an offer for a first that's mid-first, I think they'll take it in a second. And I don't think they're going to get that offer. I think it'll be a late first. It's the best they'll get offered.
Here's what I'll say. And you'll see other people talking on Twitter about the defense. I'm not talking about it. I'm saying defense is a skill that Emmanuel Quickley has. But what I'm also saying is this: as much as a train wreck has been, Emmanuel Quickley has been on offense, it's mostly been about the shooting, right? We had the first few games where he wasn't really passing correctly. He was passing, was just shooting, was passing. And these last 8 to 10 games or so, he's been playing better as a guy who can facilitate the offense, but he can't hit the broadside of a barn. What I'm saying is, if we just trade Emmanuel Quickley for a pick right now, when Jalen Brunson goes off the floor, who's really running the offense? Is what I'm saying. Derrick Rose? Derrick Rose for how long?
I don't like Emmanuel Quickley's not, and if he's running the offense, it's not working. Like, I'm gonna sound like a hater, and I like Emmanuel Quickley, but Knicks fans have to stop their delusions. He can't beat his man one-on-one. He got switched on to Sam House's switched on to him, and Noah Vonleh, and he couldn't even get past. He couldn't do anything. Like he hasn't been good. He hasn't made the improvements that we all wanted him to make.
He hasn't been shooting good. He hasn't been shooting good. He hasn't been shooting good.
He's hesitating. When the ball gets to him, he doesn't even take the open three. That's bad.
I know that's bad, but to say I'm sorry. When a guy is constantly the top of the plus minus food chain on the Knicks, even though he's shooting bad, I can't say he's been a complete train wreck. I just can't. And I understand that you want Derrick Rose to to run the thing. But like, how often is Derrick Rose injured per year?
I mean, I don't think that Quickley has run the offense good at all. That's just the way it is. I think Quickley plays best when he's on the court with Derrick Rose or Jalen Brunson. And if he was playing by himself, the offense would be really bad. And I think that if that's the case, then when Rose gets hurt, I'll put McBride in, because you know what? I don't think Quickley's really playmaking. Like, a lot of people keep saying he's playmaking, but I mean, I saw today he missed a whole bunch of passes. You see Obi fighting for the lead. He misses Obi so many times. Like, yeah,
Obi missed two open lobs that he got him. It was wide open. He missed. Obi went reverse dunk and he missed the dunk. You can't put that on Quickley. Obi was missing everything today. And if you're looking at the statistics on the creators, he's 95% on assist percentage. Like, he actually gets people open shots when he's on. So like, I understand that he has his flaws and he's not the perfect point guard that everybody wants, but like, This is like a middle ground here. People are saying like he's a trash point guard, or he just can't, or he's just a spot up shooter. But I know he's not perfect, but it's like, who do we have after Derrick Rose who's going to be out the league in a few years?
But Jay Ellis, to me, he's not a point guard. Period.
He's a combo guard.
He's not a point guard.
He's a combo guard.
Yeah, and he plays best off-ball. He plays best off-ball to me. Like, I understand, like, This was the year to really prove it, and he hasn't proven it. Maybe, I mean, look, if he turns everything around, then maybe it changes. But 16 games into the season, you know.
Yeah, listen. I said before, I said it again. I feel like he's done better. He hasn't shot well. That's my view, is he has not shot well. He's had struggles running the offense earlier in the year, and I feel like the last few games he's gotten ready to run the offense, but he just hasn't shot well. He shot 20% from the field. That's how I feel.
Well, I think if Grimes was put, we have a Grimes rotation, and you put Grimes in his spot, we wouldn't miss a beat. To be honest, I really do.
You watch Grimes some summer league and thinks he can run. Grimes can be a point guard.
I never said. You said he's a point guard. They're both not point guards. I never said.
You said he wouldn't miss a beat.
This team would not miss a beat because Quickley's playing with Derrick Rose and Jalen Brunson. He's not playing as a point guard. I don't get where you keep getting that he's playing as a point guard. He's not.
I'm sorry, but if you, I love Quentin Grimes. Quentin Grimes is a better shooter. He's probably the best shooter on the team, or second best shooter on the team. When it comes to playmaking, it's his ceiling to me isn't that high. Like, he can drive and kick. He doesn't have the lob passes that Quickley has. He doesn't have the live left hand passes that Quickley has. He doesn't have the full court lob passes that Quickley have. Quickley's the best go ahead passer outside of Derrick Rose on the team. So I get it. I get that you think we won't miss a beat, but I'm telling you, if Derrick Rose is not going to be here in a year, unless we move quickly and and we have like somebody in mind once we move him, it's going to be an issue coming off the bench.
No, I agree with you. And next off season, we're going to need to get someone to replace Derrick Rose. Someone who's younger, but that guy's not Emmanuel Quickley in my mind, because I just don't see him. I don't think he can run an offense at all. Like, there's so many things he doesn't do that he needs to do to run an offense as like the lead guard. You know, he's not athletic enough. Like, he can't beat this guy off the dribble. He's not quick enough. Like, you know, we say RJ has athletic limitations. So does Emmanuel Quickley.
I bet how many times, you know what? I'm gonna end because we're going in circles right now. So salute to you.
Yeah,
But we're going in circles. Cause I know I used to see people say, "Oh, he can't get to the hole," and then he's getting to the hole and getting fouled all game. So I don't know. I just don't agree. I just don't agree.
That was all ball action this game. He wasn't getting to the hole on his own.
I know he gets to the hole. He gets to the hole on switches on bigger centers and forward. That's usually what he does.
Like, he doesn't beat he's not good at beating centers on. You would think he should be able to, but very often he can't.
He has. He has, Jason.
You look at the numbers and just watch the game.
I have watched the games. We watched I watched half the games last season into this season. What he got back into games from versus Miami by doing that, causing mismatches and driving on the bigger players. He's done that multiple times. He hasn't done it this season as much because they've been pushing, moving the ball more, which I understand that. But he's done that before, dog.
I'm gonna end this. We're gonna go back. We could talk for hours about this. No point. All right, thanks for taking my call.
All right, man.
That was a very entertaining call. But I'll say this. I do agree with a lot of what Jason says, because even in the, it's funny because even in the text that we had earlier today, like I was saying the same thing, like, you know, Knicks fans overrate the players sometimes. And I'm like, you know, do I like Quickley as a player? Yeah, I do like Quickley as a player. But at the same time, I'm like, you know, if I could get a mid-first for Quick, I probably would pull the trigger on that trade, because yeah, we've seen glimpses of Quick doing, like we've seen glimpses of Quick playmaking. We've seen glimpses of Quick running an offense, but it's not on a consistent basis. And I'm like, if a player's not consistent in doing that, but yet you can get a very good first round pick for him, I don't see why you wouldn't pull the trigger on that trade. And in my opinion, especially if you're thinking long term of, okay, you already know you can't keep every young player that's on the squad, so you have to start picking, okay, which young players am I going to keep, which young players I'm going to re-sign, which young players I'm going to let go. And then for the young players I'm going to let go, what can I get in return? And to me, I like Quick, but it's like, Quick is not consistent enough for me to be like, you know, damn, like, you know, are we going to be good if he's gone? You know what I mean? Like, to me, he's not really that type of player. So it's like, in my opinion, if the Knicks can get a first round pick for him, and it's a damn good first round pick, if I'm a GM, I'm pulling the trigger on that. And that's just how I think about it. So I did agree with a lot of what Jason said.
So what's your point of view for the backup point guard position once Quick is gone? You going full on Derrick Rose?
Derrick Rose would be my backup. Simple as that. Like, I know you're eventually going to have to find a point guard in the future through probably free agency or through the draft that can take up that role, because Derrick Rose don't have a lot of years left in him. But yeah, to me, Derrick Rose can still play backup minutes. I think Thibs is playing him less than what he can actually play, due to the fact that he has to distribute minutes between him, Quick, and Brunson. So yeah, I think Derrick Rose has shown that he can run an offense. Like, it's not like, that's why I agree with Jason when he says he doesn't think the Knicks will skip a beat, because it's like, if you have Derrick Rose running the offense, the Knicks are not going to skip. The Knicks are not going to skip a beat there. Then you put in Grimes and his defense and shooting. You know, like, I don't think the Knicks are going to miss Quickly. That it's not going to be a major miss. You know what I mean?
I don't know. I feel like I need to, at some point. Well, Jalen Brunson does help the point guard position, but I look at Derrick Rose and I go, okay, this guy has been injured every year for the last how many years? So how long are we going to count on Derrick Rose to kind of bail us out from year to year? Which is why I'm saying at some point I wanted to pass on the torch. And especially like, even like moving Quickly now when his shooting percentage is like the lowest it's been since it's been in the NBA. It just seems like a weird time to move him.
I want to push back on a few things. I don't think, I kind of felt like Jason was arguing with himself, because it doesn't seem like anyone on this panel overrates any player on the team, and all of us are open to everyone being traded for the right return. I think the three of us are in agreement that no one is untouchable on this roster.
Right.
From Obi to RJ to Randall to Mitch, I think for the right deal, I would pull the trigger on any of them. But to me, what's the point of trading Emmanuel Quickley for a mid-first round pick that's going to end up being a player on Emmanuel Quickley's level? Like, what direction of a team does that say that we're giving up on a 23-year-old guy and then committing to Derrick Rose at 34 to be our backup point guard? Like, that's falling further and further into purgatory. Like, that doesn't make any sense to me. That's not picking a direction and committing to. It's staying right in the middle and absorbing mediocrity, which is where we need to be run away from. And unfortunately, we're running toward that. Train a player that does have a ceiling, albeit it might be small, and he is shooting terrible from the field. He's actually all-time high field goal percentage from 2 at 46% this year for his career. So there are some room for improvement. I don't understand getting rid of a young player, one of your few that are actually have a ceiling, just to get a first-round pick and maybe get another player that's at his same level. That doesn't make sense.
And I think Lee explained it perfectly. Like, we get a mid-first round pick to get to that pick has to be used to move somebody, to get somebody else. Which is why I say I don't want to just get the first round pick just to draft somebody, because then it's just like, I feel like we're just starting over for nothing. You know what I mean? That's why I keep that stance. I don't want to just get a first round pick. I want to, if it's like, yo, I'm trading him and this pick is for a bigger package to get like a bigger piece here, cool. I'm cool with that. But just to get a first round pick and it's just like, we don't have a plan, it's just sitting here. That to me doesn't, I don't know. It doesn't seem, it doesn't seem logical to me, because that first round pick can just be on that level of IQ or less.
Yeah, especially this early. Like the draft is like 8 months away. There's no young player that you're going to make a commitment to or even know where guys are going to be falling. It's so much is going to change once the NCAA tournament commences. Like, you have no idea where guys are going to fall in the draft. You can't start pinpointing placement of where people are going to be this early in the game when the NCAA season just started. And there's a team out there that say, hey, Charlotte's telling you, we don't want Emmanuel Quickley in a draft package. Like you said, JLS, we want 5 first-round picks, 3 Knicks. We want the Detroit one, and we want one from, whoever it might be that's trying to give you a pick for Quickley. Then, yeah, pull the trigger, package it, get a decent player. But train it for hoping and having your fingers crossed that 9 months from now, that guy that you want is going to be available at 17.
Right.
Terrible.
And that's why I even gave the example, draft night comes. Oh, there's a guy. That's the guy we want. Hey, I already know that we're going to get this guy where we're drafting. I'll move quickly because I want him to be a replacement. Cool. Because that's the vision. That, like, you're in on that guy. But no. Like, to me, it just seems like collecting Pokemon just in case we need to, like, trade for a bigger. I don't know. Like, I don't know. It just seems like really hopeful, like blind hope for me anyway.
I don't know, because I don't think y'all hear where I'm coming from with this, because it's like you have to build assets regardless if you want a big player. If you can get a good first round pick for Quickley, that adds another first round pick to the arsenal. I'm not saying you use that first round player to draft another guy 15th, 16th, or 17th to get another player that's a caliber Quickley to come to the team. You're thinking long term. You get another first round pick and it's a good first round pick. That's another first round pick to your arsenal. So that when that big player becomes available, you have another draft pick, and then you still have young players here that you can actually trade to get that big player here. So if they decide to move quickly, I don't see that as a lateral move. Like, where the Knicks are right now, they're not going nowhere. You have to do something.
We have
you have to do something to change the direction of the team. And like I said, there's nobody on this team that's really a game changer at the moment. Everybody is just a good player. It's either they're solid players or they're good players. Knicks have enough of that as it is. So if you could bring in another asset, it's a damn good first round pick. If you get lucky with Quickley, you get a good first round pick for Quickley and add that to the asset that the Knicks already have. That gives you another asset in the arsenal, so that when that big player becomes available, now you have even more to work with, and you can bring that big player here, and things will be good. I bet you if that happens, people are going to forget that they moved Quickley for a first round pick. That's what I'm trying to say.
There's so many unknowns with that first round pick, though. Where's that pick coming from? What's a team? How much better does a team get with Quickley? How much better is that team in the Knicks? Like, what year is that pick? What's a player that you're trying to target? There's so many unknowns with that makes it Detroit, Washington, and what's the other one? Milwaukee picks. That's why they didn't have the same value this offseason as Danny Ainge for the Knicks one. He wanted Knicks picks because he knew those picks because we sucked. You don't know about the other teams and how further on they are.
I feel like the only team with like valuable picks right now might be the Lakers. Because I feel like everybody else who has picks, they're either low first or like heavily protected. Like it looks like to me, Lakers are the only other team besides the Knicks who actually have like value picks for real.
Yeah, and that's why I'm not saying just move for any first round pick. I said if it's a damn good first round pick, yes, you move them.
Like who's the middle of the pack right now? Who's I mean, it's funny. You can't even tell who's the middle of the pack right now because everything is so bunched up together. You know what I mean? Yeah, it's like anything anybody can break at any time. The whole East is pretty much 500.
I'm just saying that if a team comes in for Quickley and it's a damn good first round pick, all I'm saying is I don't see why you don't take that. I don't see why you don't take that trade.
What's a damn good first round pick?
I'm not trying to pinpoint like, okay, it's this team's first round pick or that team's first round pick. I'm like, if a team comes in and you know for a fact that's a damn good first round pick, you make that trade.
Is Phoenix a damn good first round pick?
You don't trade Quickley for any first round pick. If it's a damn good one, hell yeah, you make that trade.
But what is a damn good one?
That's what I'm saying. that's why.
What team? What year? There's too many unknown quantifiers. It's hard to say that.
I don't know, man. All I'm saying is something different has to be done.
I agree there.
You cannot hold on to players who are solid, good, and expect Knicks are going to go anywhere.
I agree.
It has to something has to be done.
We agree that something. We all agree with that. We all agree with that.
And the only reason I mentioned Phoenix is to kind of segue into the Jay Crowder thing. That's the only reason. That's the only reason because we going back and forth. Listen, salute to the chat, man. I'm definitely going to clip this up and have this on as a standalone. To see what you guys think about this Quickley conversation. Whether you trade Quickley, whether you only open the trading the roles, what do you expect back for Quickley? Is a mid first good for you? Do you want him in the package? You gotta let us know in the chat, and we'll clip this up later. You can let us know on this chat when the video's over or later on. But have you guys heard about this this Jay Crowder, the Jay Crowder rumors?
Yeah.
It's funny because you've been hearing that they want to move. The Phoenix Suns are looking to move Jay Crowder. I've heard John Collins' name in trade rumors once again. that could possibly be a trade, but I also have heard that the Knicks have interest in Jay Crowder. And this is one of those.
That doesn't surprise me.
Why does it surprise you, Ryan? Because I mean, you know what? When I look at when I'm looking at how many injured wings we have right now, now I'm like, well, shoot, maybe we do need a damn Jay Crowder. Between Grimes' foot and Cam freaking groin, shoot, we actually might need him. But
I'll say this, like, I can see why the Knicks will go after Crowder because Crowder's going to be a free agent next year. So if anything, I think Knicks would go after Crowder to move salary off their books.
Yeah.
So I think that's why the Knicks are interested in Crowder because he's a good player. He on the wing. He would definitely give the Knicks some wing help, plays defense, hits the three. But at the same time, he's going to be off the books after the season as well. So I think that's why the Knicks are looking at Crowder because they can possibly move salary off their books.
Yeah. It made sense in that regard. I think Tibbs would salivate the possibility of having Jay Crowder on a team because on paper, it gives you a better chance of making the play in. And I think it might be at the risk of Cam Reddish going back to the bench and him starting Crowder at the three. It feels like the type of player that Tibbs would love to start in the starting lineup. And that worries me a little bit for Cam's development because I love him starting.
My thing is, you're going to trade somebody for Crowder and then re-sign him? Like, is that the plan?
I don't think the Knicks would re-sign Crowder. Like I see it as like salary dump. Like I think the Knicks are trying to move salary. That's why they would go after Crowder, knowing that Crowder would be off the books after next season. At least that's the way I view it. Why they would be interested in a player like Crowder.
Right, because the only thing I can maybe sort of kind of see where it's like expiring for expiring. You know, like we move Derrick Rose, they get somebody who can kind of create backup CP a little bit. We get Crowder.
Sure.
Then it doesn't really move the needle really, but it opens up minutes for Grimes and Cam because Derrick Rose is out the way. Maybe I could see something like that. I know some people are saying Evan Fournier, because Evan Fournier has 2 years, Crowder has 1 year, and then I shout out to Jason. We was talking about that earlier, and Jason was kind of like, well, we might need Evan Fournier for salary to move for like a bigger trade because the Knicks are kind of at salary cap right now.
Right.
So it might be worth it to keep Evan Fournier to include with a package just to match salaries because, these big name free agents usually get paid a lot. So it might be worth it to have 19 million to add with a young player who's only like 2 million, worth 2 million. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know. They have capologists over here on in Knicks Nation who think of that type of stuff. But that's why when he said that, I was like, well, damn, to me, the only thing that does kind of maybe make sense might be Derrick Rose for Crowder. I don't know.
Well, the Suns could definitely use Derrick Rose. I mean, that might be a possibility.
Most teams could probably. And for me, if we're going to move Derrick Rose, I would like him to go somewhere where he can actually like have a chance, Like I don't want to move Derrick Rose to purgatory nowhere. Like that would just suck.
Yeah.
Like unless you move him to a chip team or other scenario, we move Derrick Rose to somebody we take on like a young player with a little bit longer salary who feels the need or something. I don't know. That's the only thing maybe I could think of, but I don't know. The Jay Crowder thing outside of that doesn't make sense to me. But we'll see what happens. We'll see if that John Collins thing actually goes down.
That's in the same tier as that Quickley for a mid-first round pick. Like that's not moving the needle us in any direction, whether we did better in the play-in or better in the lottery. Like that, to me, that's the type of trade that we shouldn't be looking at. This team needs a big swing, more than it ever has in the last 5 or 6 years. Yeah,
that would just be a move to get Grimes minutes. That's really what it would be. It would be a move to get Grimes minutes because you won't have Derrick Rose here. And then presumably if both Grimes and Cam are both healthy, then you can see like Cam start Grimes off the bench or Grimes starts and Cam's off the bench. And then we're like more in on the youth movement, so even though it doesn't like move the needle as far as a championship team situation, it's kind of gives our young players more playing time. So it makes sense in that regard. But then on the flip side, you have to play Jay Crowder at some point, right? And then he's gonna end up taking one of those guys' minutes. So I don't know, man.
I got one for you. The Chicago Bulls have been really disappointing so far this season. And Zach LaVine was benched today by Billy Donovan. Shot 1 of 14. He's got a massive contract. I think he's another 4 year. I think he's on the first year of that extension. Would you be interested in Zach LaVine? Not have heard anything he's available, but
yes,
I wouldn't blame him if he's frustrated and that team started off really bad. And I mean, they're an old team with very little depth. That could be an opportunity for us to trade for somebody.
I've always been interested in Zach LaVine.
Me too.
Yeah.
Always.
Yeah, I like Zach LaVine. I just don't know if the Bulls will trade him to the Knicks. That's the thing.
Look, Tibbs
on that.
Tibbs reunited with Zach. Listen, I do that in a heartbeat. Yeah. Shoot. They might do an RJ for LaVine and something. But they might do that. I could see that happening.
I would do that too. I would trade RJ and Obi for LaVine.
Yeah, LaVine is easy. That's no brainer for me.
I would do it too. I would definitely do it. So yeah,
Just want to throw that out there.
yeah, I'm catching it. I'm with you, Lee. If that's possible, if that's possible, I would definitely do it. But yo, spirit of conversation at 2 a.m. in the morning. Salute to you guys in the chat. All y'all crazy. I'm just letting y'all know. All y'all here up at 2 a.m. after a Knicks loss to Golden State, talking Knicks. All y'all nuts. But
Let's go.
y'all are type of people, all right? Y'all are type of people. Y'all are type of nuts. Because if y'all nuts, we nuts with you. Because we here up here talking 2 a.m. Talk about Knicks trades and Zach LaVine and Quickley. But salute to you guys. If you enjoyed the show, please hit the like button. Please hit the subscribe button. All 82 gang in effect. We here rain or shine, win, lose, or draw. Talking Knicks after every game, all right? So listen, I've talked about everything I want to talk about. Next game is Sunday.
Phoenix.
What time is that game? That's the 3. We might have Raw that game. It's a Sunday game. Raw is usually available. We might have the full squad.
Is it an early game? Is it an early game?
Yeah,
I think so.
I think it's 3:30 p.m. y'all's time.
Yeah.
Oh, thank God.
Yeah, early game. Give us a break, Phoenix.
Thanks.
But yo, also for guys on y'all Knicks Nation, listen, I'm gonna tell you. I've told you before, if you want us to interview people, just randomly tag them and say, yo, we would love to have you on the show. Listen, I've been emailing Monica for mad long. Somebody tagged Monica and she replied and she said, yo, I'm down to do it.
Yo,
All right? But she still hasn't replied to the emails. All right. So I'm gonna need y'all to keep going. Yo, Monica, when is he coming on the KLT? Just keep going. Cause I'm telling y'all, it works. All right. So we can have Monica on the show. So for all y'all know, Monica, we have finally had contact with Monica McNutt, but it's not all the way in the bag, but it's getting in there. It's like we didn't check out. All right. We in checkout, we swiped, we putting the debit card in, and we trying to see if we had the funds. So keep hitting up Monica. Yo, you coming on KOT? You coming on K? So I'm not the only one harassing her. All right. And also, now if Monica is here, especially if Raw is here, in the comments, please behave. Please. I will kick you out the chat. I haven't kicked anybody out the chat. But please behave with the crazy comments about Raw because I do not want to make the guests uncomfortable. All right. I'm just letting y'all know. All right. All right. That is our show. All right. Ryan G, let him know where to get. Wait, no, Lee, let him know where to get on you, man.
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter at _Lee Escobedo, LeeEscobedo. I'm always throwing hard in the paint, arguing with Matt fans and Knicks fans. It's a fun time on there.
Absolutely. And Ryan G, let him know where to get find you, sir.
You can find me on Instagram at Sir G is chilling.
Sir G is chilling.
That's SIRG is CHILLI. And you can also find me at Sir G's Corner. You can also find me on Twitter at RyanGKOT. And please, when Monica comes on the show, we don't want no email Udoka situations, all right?
No
Respect the employees, all right? Respect the employee.
Respect, all right? Because we will fire you and we'll put you on Twitter just like Woj and Shams, all right? So don't do it, all right? Talk about Nick Yak acting fresh. Huh? No, we'll put you on blast, Nick Yak. I'm just joking. All right. But I'm not joking. All right. That is our show. If you already know what it is, you want to follow us on Twitter. You can follow us at DKOT Show on Twitter. You can also follow us at the Knick Of Time Show on Instagram and the Knick Of Time Show on Facebook as well. There's been rumors that Twitter is going to fall apart or whatever. So follow us on Instagram just in case. All right.
Yeah,
because we there. I'm gonna just have to ramp up the Instagram, Instagram upkeep just in case Twitter just falls apart. All right, that is our show. We are out of here, and as always,
shout out the Worldwide West. Everywhere we go, we leave a worldwide mess.
it's a mess out here in these Knicks YouTube streets. That is our show. We out of here.
Peace.
York, New York, big city of dreams.